Well, today we're looking at a bit of a unicorn, a BMW that is really quite unique. And every Friday here on the channel, we do a cool, fun, or collectible car. This certainly is fun and it is collectible. And I also think it's very cool. What makes this BMW 5 Series unique is the fact that it is a 535, so it's got the more powerful inline turbocharged 6-cylinder engine, and this has a manual transmission. That's right, just over 600 of these cars were ever brought into North America, and I have one here today. And thanks a lot to Core Motor Cars here in Vancouver for letting me borrow this car for the day. I'll put the link in the description below, corecars.com. I believe this car is going to go on Bring a Trailer. It is certainly unique and fun, and I just love it. Now, this one is unmolested. One owner, Vancouver car. It's got 63,000 miles on the clock, roughly 100,000 kilometers. It's as new. It has the original wheels, the original carpets. It's absolutely being owned by one owner and dealer service to boot. Now, what's going to happen to this car, what the next buyer is going to do to it, I can only speculate. I tell you what, let's get in, let's do that, and I'll tell you just how many of these came into North America. Not many. All right, as we head out to the main road, I'm in my happy place. I love BMW 5 Series station wagons. I had one years ago. The first one that ever made its way into North America was the E34. I had one of those in Swartz Black. I also had an E32 7 Series in the same color. It was a good time for Zach having matchy-matchy BMWs, and I absolutely love that car. You know who didn't like that car? My wife, Andrea. She could never get her head around having a station wagon. But those that know these are cool because they actually offer more of everything. You get a much better drive because it's based on a sedan. You get a much larger cargo area because the vehicle's longer. You get a roomy back seat, and you get a great ride. Plus, it's practical. You can pull a lot of stuff inside it, and this one's all-wheel drive and turbocharged. But in a moment of weakness, we got rid of the old 5 Series station wagon, and we ended up getting an X5, and it didn't have nearly the same amount of room as this. So in some online research, Core found out at Core Motor Cars that there was just over 660 of these manual transmission E61s brought into North America for all of the years it was available. 5 Series, wagon, manual transmission, apparently for 4 years, and just over 660 of them were sold. So this is a very rare car, and the fact that it's coming up back on the market at a time when people are looking for unique cars. Just think about this, manual transmission cars are going away. You can't get a manual anymore in a 3 Series and a 5 Series. This one's a manual, and it's a wagon. So the people that know are looking for unique and fun cars that have manual transmissions, people that are looking for kind of an analog experience. This offers that, and it's in great shape. It's only got 63,000 miles on the clock. That's roughly 100,000 kilometers. The clutch feels good, the transmission's great, the steering is good. It drives how I remember these cars to drive. Plus, this has the inline 3-liter twin-turbo engine with 300 horsepower, 300 pound-feet of torque, and it is a wonderful, wonderful engine. In fact, this might be one of the greatest engines ever made by BMW. Now, the car that came before this was called the E39. The 540 was never available with a manual. BMW always brought in the manual transmission on the less powerful car. So in the E39, it was a 528, I believe. The 540 didn't get it, got an automatic. So when this car came out, this was the less powerful engine. There was a 550 with a V8. This was considered the less powerful option. In fact, this engine has more power than the V8 540 that it replaced. So you're getting similar kind of experience. Granted, not in as pretty a car, but you're getting a similar experience with a manual transmission and 300 horsepower under your right foot. Plus, these cars can be modified quite easily. You can get a dyno upgrade to the engine. I think it adds about 70 pound-feet more torque. So 300 horsepower, 300 pound-feet. You can up that if you want to. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is an original owner car. It has not been modified or changed in any way. Now, I don't think it's going to stay that way. If I bought this car, and I'm assuming a lot of BMW enthusiasts who would want this car would want it to look a little bit different. Now, I would get BMW wheels, but a larger wheel. These are only 17-inch wheels. That's not really good enough for a fun performance-looking wagon. You might lower the suspension just a little bit, put different springs in it, certainly put some tint on the rear windows, give it a little bit more of a stance on the road, and I think that would look fantastic with this car. So keep all the original pieces if you're going to do that, because that's what's important, is the originality of the car, but I would modify it with upgraded BMW wheels and give it a better stance. I think mission accomplished. You'd be finished at that point. So I get this trend towards unique and different cars. I just went through this whole experience. I just picked up a Porsche Cayenne with a manual transmission, which is even rarer than this. I think there's just about 300 of those that were sold in North America with the GTS trim. I have one of those, so I get it. And if I hadn't just picked that up in the spring, this would probably be sitting in front of my house in short order, because I love BMW wagons, I love a manual transmission, and I love this engine. You could leave it totally bare stock like this. You could give it a mild Dynon upgrade, but either way, a wonderful, wonderful car. And this one is in great shape. It drives, as I mentioned, as I remember it. So the enthusiast community is catching on to all of this. You can see it on Bring a Trailer. All the cars that have unique configurations, manual transmissions, rare builds, that's what everybody wants. And this certainly qualifies. Thanks again to Core Motor Cars here in Vancouver for letting me drive this car. As I said in the video, if I hadn't just purchased the vehicle that I had, I probably would buy this one because it speaks to me. I had a 5 Series, I love manual transmissions, and I certainly love this turbo inline 6-cylinder engine. It's going to be going on Bring a Trailer from what I understand. It's a cool car and collectible, and we do one of these every Friday on the channel. So please subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll see you next week.